December is a month that is full of traditions, celebrations, overall good times. It's also a good time, though, to hit pause, take an hour or so to run through a few year-end financial checks, because there are some simple year-end steps that can help lower your tax bill, improve your cash flow, and keep your retirement running smoothly. This is episode 11 of our Second Act series, and in the video, I'm going to walk you through some retiree-specific checklists covering income decisions, RRIF and TFSA rules, gifting strategies, portfolio maintenance, estate updates, and goals for the year ahead. So whether you are newly retired, whether you're already deeply into your own second act, as we call it on this channel, there's something here for everyone. Thank you to Harvest ETFs for supporting this entire 12-part series. I'll share some more insights onto how they can help you in retirement a little bit later in the video. Let's kick things off here by stepping back from the numbers and taking a look at the bigger picture. Before you sit down and analyze your portfolio returns, your tax brackets, ask yourself a simpler question. How did this year actually feel? In other words, did your spending line up with what you expected, or did certain costs surprise you? Sometimes it isn't the big items, but it's the accumulation of those smaller expenses that changes how comfortable the year felt. Think about how you spent your time. Did you travel more than planned? Did you take on a renovation? Did you help your family financially, start a new project or a hobby? These choices all matter because they often shape your spending patterns going forward. Were there any unexpected health changes or new expenses that affect your budget and energy level? Even small shifts here can be early signs that your plan might need some adjusting. Finally here, reflect on your day-to-day rhythm. Did you enjoy your balance between freedom and structure, or did you feel bored, rushed, or unsettled at times? Important, this reflection is not about judging yourself. It is about understanding whether your financial plan is supporting the life that you want, or is it slowly but surely pushing you in a direction that doesn't fit anymore. Next, take a clear-eyed look at how you funded your lifestyle this year. Where did the money come from? And was it the most efficient path? What income sources did you tap into? CPP, OAS, defined benefit pensions, RRIFs, TFSAs, non-registered accounts, business assets. These are all pools that we can draw money from, but did you withdraw more or less than you'd planned? And was it intentional? Did any of these decisions push you into a higher tax bracket? Are you brushing up against the OAS clawback threshold, for example? This is where income sequencing comes into play. The order in which you draw down different accounts can have a real impact on your taxes, not just this year, but over the next decade as well. If you withdraw from the wrong account at the wrong time, it can affect your after-tax income and it can create unnecessary stress down the road. Now, if you've already set up a plan, this is the time to revisit it and to make any small adjustments that you feel are necessary. If you haven't built a plan yet, then this is the time to get help. Even a quick conversation with an advisor or a tax professional before year end can help save you thousands, maybe more, and help your money last longer. Let's walk through a couple of important year-end items that often get overlooked. First of all, the RRSP contributions. If you are under 72 and you're still earning income, you might still be eligible to contribute to your RRSP. Any contributions you make now, that can reduce your taxable income for this year. It'll give you more investments and more time for that money to grow tax deferred. Even if you don't need that deduction right away, that's okay. You can just carry it forward, use it in a future year that happens to be more high income. That gives you some flexibility. Now, if you are already retired, but your spouse is younger, don't forget about the spousal RRSP. This can actually still be a very powerful income splitting tool, especially if you expect one of you to have higher taxable income in retirement. Now, also RRIF withdrawals. If you have converted your RRSP into a RRIF, there's a required minimum withdrawal that must be made before December 31st, and that amount is based on your age and the account's value at the end of the previous year. There are a few important exceptions and planning points. First of all, if this is your first year with a RRIF, you can delay the withdrawals until the following year. That is a one-time deferral that can help with tax timing. Also, if you are over 65, if you take more than the minimum, that might help you optimize pension income tax credits or reduce future RRIF balances. That could help you avoid higher withdrawals and higher taxes later on. However, you do need to be careful here. Going over the minimum isn't always the best decision. It depends on how those extra withdrawals interact with things like OAS clawbacks, tax bracket creep, or other sources of income. All this to say that this is a great time to revisit how the RRIF strategy fits into your broader income plan. Again, a quick year-end visit with an advisor or a tax professional can help you make sure that you're not missing out on opportunities. Your tax-free savings account, your TFSA, that is a tool that keeps on giving value even in retirement. Fact is that for many retirees, it actually becomes more important in retirement. It offers flexibility, growth, tax efficiency, all without affecting any of your income-tested benefits like OAS. So TFSAs are ideal for a wide range of uses in retirement. Emergency savings, where quick access is the key, a travel fund perhaps, a cash buffer to reduce how much you need to pull out of taxable accounts in any given year. Let's take a look at a few planning reminders as this year wraps up. If you haven't used your full TFSA contribution room from previous years, that space carries forward indefinitely. Now, if you plan to withdraw from your TFSA, do it before December 31st. That room will be added back then in January 1st of the following year. You won't have to wait a full year before you do that. This last point here is especially important if you're planning any large one-time withdrawals. Pulling your money out in December versus January is going to impact your ability to recontribute. That might affect your strategy for the entire year. I must say here, TFSAs are still one of the few tools in the Canadian system that offer true tax-free flexibility, and they play a very strategic role in retirement income planning. Before I move on to the next part of this video, I do want to highlight a resource that a lot of Canadians might not be aware of, and that is the Insights section of the Harvest ETFs website. We all know that Harvest offers investment solutions for Canadians via their ETFs, but they also publish many educational pieces covering topics like protecting your income in retirement, tax-efficient withdrawals, RRSP and TFSA limits, building a balanced income portfolio, and strategies for managing risk as you draw down your savings. It might be that you're just starting to think about your own retirement. Perhaps you're already living it. Either way, decisions like, should I take more risk or how should I withdraw each year? These are all very important. Now, the Insights section is a great place for straightforward, helpful learning. So if you're watching this, you want to learn more about a particular topic, head to harvestportfolios.com/insights. You can scan the QR code on your screen or click the link in the video's description. A good idea is to bookmark this. It is a great resource. Review a few of their articles, maybe even take note of which ones resonate with you. As each year winds down, a lot of retirees find themselves thinking not just about what they spent, but also about what they would like to give. Could be a supporting cause that's close to your heart. It could be helping the next generation. Either way, thoughtful giving can be both emotionally and financially strategic. Here are a couple of things to keep in mind before December 31st. Charitable donations made before year-end count for this year's tax return. That can help reduce your overall tax bill. You'll receive a non-refundable federal tax credit, and depending on your province, additional credits may apply. Now, donating publicly traded securities with capital gains rather than selling them and donating the cash, that can eliminate the capital gains tax while you still qualify for a full donation receipt. Remember too, that giving doesn't always mean writing a check to your favorite charity. You could also choose to contribute to an RRSP for grandchildren, and that is a gift that will keep on giving. Also consider a lump sum gift to adult children if they're carrying high interest debt, housing challenges, or even education costs. You may have reached a stage where you're not just thinking about how much you have, but also what kind of impact you want to leave. Gifting, if it is done wisely, can be a very powerful part of your legacy. Just make sure that it aligns with your broader plan. The goal here is to give in a way that feels right and fits comfortably within your financial picture. Even if you have not made one single change to your investments this year, your portfolio has still changed because markets move, and sometimes they move quite a bit. And that is why a year-end is the perfect time to pause and ask, am I still positioned according to my plan, or am I drifting off course? Let's start with your asset allocation, the mix between stocks, bonds, and cash. Now, as time goes by, strong performance in one area, like equities, for example, can lead to overexposure in that category. And that means that you could be taking on more risk than you intended to do. On the flip side, if you're too heavy in cash or fixed income, that means that you could be missing out on needed growth, especially if your retirement horizon is still 20 or 30 years away. Next, look at how your investments are spread out across different accounts. So questions to ask yourself: are your income generating assets placed in tax-deferred or tax-free accounts wherever possible? In other words, you could be shifting certain holdings between your TFSA, your RRIF, your non-registered account, possibly to improve tax efficiency. And in an area like this, even small tweaks can make a meaningful difference over time. Just remember to factor in any immediate tax consequences, if any, of making any changes. Last comment here: if you're not sure whether your current mix still suits your goals, this is a great time either to rebalance your account if you're a DIY investor, or to book a review if you work with an advisor. Sometimes just a few adjustments can bring everything back in line. As I discussed in episode 9 of this series, nobody gets particularly excited about estate paperwork, but that is one of those things where a little effort today saves your family a ton of stress down the road. Start by reviewing your beneficiary designations. These override your will, so it's critical that they are up to date. This includes TFSAs, RRSPs, RRIFs, life insurance, pension plans. A common oversight here: beneficiaries listed years ago, even an ex-spouse, still lingering on an old account. These mistakes are more common than you might think, and they can be very costly to fix if they even are fixable. Next, take a fresh look at your will, your powers of attorney, any advanced medical directives. If your health, your relationships, or your financial situation has changed, your documents might no longer reflect your wishes. Believe it or not, even if you have moved to a different province during the year, you might need to update the documents to comply with local laws. Now, one simple but very powerful step is to organize your critical documents. Make sure your executor or your power of attorney knows where to find them. This includes copies of your will, banking information, investment information, insurance policies, tax filings, and contact information for key professionals like your accountant or your financial advisor. And if you haven't done this already, consider creating a one-page estate summary. This is a document that lists your key assets, your account numbers, your digital passwords, your emergency contacts. Now, I did create a sort of cheat sheet that you can use in episode 9. I'll put a QR code on the screen here. I'll also put a link in the description of the video. Keep it secure, but make sure it's accessible. You're probably not going to need it this year, hopefully, or maybe even for many, many years. But when the time does come, you or your family will be glad that it's been handled thoroughly and thoughtfully. As you wrap up the year, it is also a very good time to look ahead and shape the next chapter of your retirement. Start with the big picture. What do you want this next year to feel like? Are you planning any major purchases, like a new car, a renovation of a home or a cottage, or any home upgrades? Thinking of downsizing or making your space a little bit more age-friendly? All of these goals can affect both your cash flow and your investment strategy. Next, think about how you want to spend your time. Maybe you're considering part-time work, launching a small business, volunteering for a cause that matters a lot to you. Maybe you want to finally take that dream trip, whether it's across the country or overseas. All of this helps define what income you're going to need to support these goals. Now, this is also a great time to revisit decisions like when to start your CPP, whether to adjust your drawdown strategy. If your lifestyle goals have shifted, then your withdrawal plan may have to shift with that as well. You don't have to figure everything out at this point, but every little bit of planning helps. Now, in our next and final episode of this second act series, we're going to head somewhere warmer. I'll be looking at the Canadian snowbird lifestyle, how to spend part of the year in the sun without getting burned by tax, healthcare, or legal surprises. Now, if that sounds like part of your retirement dream, maybe just a possibility down the road, be sure to join us for episode 12. And if you have found this episode helpful, take a moment to subscribe, leave a comment. I'd love to hear your story, or maybe share it with someone who's planning their own retirement. As always, I will say thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.